Water that grows money. Fish that multiply themselves. No soil to till, no drought to pray against, no combine to finance. It sounds like the cleanest business on earth. It isn't. The paradox sits right under the surface. A single net pen or tank system can hold $500,000 in living inventory, inventory that eats around the clock, inventory that can die overnight from one bad oxygen reading. Inventory you cannot repossess, cannot insure the way a warehouse full of steel gets insured, and cannot sell early without gutting the price you were counting on. Farmers grow a crop once a year. You are growing one every single day, and every single day it can vanish. Welcome to the business of raising protein in captivity. 3 ways in, 3 very different bank statements. Tier 1, bootstrapped. A pond-based tilapia or catfish operation on 10 to 20 acres of leased or owned land. Ponds, aerators, a feed shed, a truck. $25,000 to $80,000 gets you started, most of it going to liners, pumps, and your first fingerling stock. You are the farmer, the feeder, the harvester, and the bookkeeper. Margins are thin. Mistakes are personal. Tier 2 sits in a different weight class entirely. Recirculating aquaculture systems, known in the industry as RAS. Indoor tanks, filtration, oxygen injection, biosecurity protocols that read like a hospital manual. A mid-size RAS facility for salmon or shrimp runs $3 million to $15 million. Financed the way a small factory gets financed. Equipment loans, state agriculture grants, sometimes a private equity partner who wants a piece of the blue food story. The equipment alone is a second mortgage on your future. Tier 3 is offshore or open water net pen farming at industrial scale. Norwegian salmon concessions, licensed sea sites, feed barges, service vessels, veterinary staff on payroll. Entry here starts north of $50 million, and that is before you've bought a single smolt. This tier doesn't compete on grit. It competes on licenses, government-issued permits to farm specific coastal waters, permits that are capped, transferable, and worth more than the fish farmed inside them. Walk the actual site, and the design starts explaining itself. Net pens are staggered and spaced with mathematical precision, not for the view, but because tight spacing accelerates sea lice transmission and disease spread between pens. Land-based tanks are painted dark blue or black because fish under stress behave differently against light-colored surfaces, and calmer fish convert feed more efficiently. The oxygen and filtration systems are oversized well beyond what the biomass needs on a normal day, and that overbuild is not generosity. It's a hedge against the one heat wave, algal bloom, or power outage that could kill the entire crop in hours. That redundant equipment is a liability sitting quietly on the balance sheet, financed and depreciating, waiting for a night it might never need to justify itself. And there's a cost almost no outsider factors in: fallowing. Periodically, a site has to sit empty, cleaned and rested to break disease cycles building up in the sediment below the pens. Empty tanks and empty water still cost money. Insurance, mooring fees, staff, permits, all running while the asset produces nothing. It's the aquaculture equivalent of a hotel forced to close its most profitable floor for months, by law, every few years. Now the case studies, because the mortality numbers are real and they have names attached. In Taiwan, through the mid-1980s, the shrimp farming boom turned rice paddies and coastal flats into a multi-billion-dollar export industry almost overnight. Farmers packed ponds at densities the science hadn't caught up to. In 1987 and 1988, white spot syndrome tore through the stock. Entire regional harvests collapsed within 2 seasons. Thousands of farms that had financed expansion against future shrimp revenue were left holding empty ponds and outstanding loans. The industry never regained its pre-collapse scale in that country. That's market mismatch and operational friction written in dead shrimp. The other failure is a capital structure story. Kona Blue Water Farms, an offshore yellowtail operation in Hawaii, raised significant venture and institutional capital through the 2000s to prove that open ocean finfish farming in U.S. waters could scale. The biology largely worked. The balance sheet didn't. Heavy debt service and construction costs outran the revenue the fish could generate fast enough. And by 2011, the company restructured. Its assets eventually absorbed into another operator. The fish survived. The capital structure didn't. Strip away the marketing about sustainable blue food, and the equation is this: revenue equals biomass harvested times market price, minus feed, minus mortality, minus the fixed cost of the redundant systems built to prevent a wipeout that eventually happens anyway. Net margins in aquaculture typically run 8 to 15% in a good year, and can go negative in a bad one because feed costs and fish prices rarely move in your favor at the same time. The operator who mastered this system did it through control of the whole chain, not just the water. John Fredrickson built Mowi, formerly Marine Harvest, into the largest salmon farming company on the planet by owning feed supply, farming sites, processing, and logistics simultaneously, so that no single link in the chain could be squeezed by someone else's margin. That's the real lesson of aquaculture. The water doesn't care how much you've invested. It rewards the owner who controls every stage of the chain and quietly bankrupts the one who only owns the fish.